Welcome, everybody, to the February 2nd Harbordale Civic Association meeting. I see we have two of our guests here already. Chief Serotto, do you want me to wait for Charlie to join us?
I think he may be having the same with the link. I don't know what the city computer is doing. I had to go in through a different way, but I'm here.
Oh, yeah, we appreciate it.
Figure it out. We figured it out.
Are you here or are you in San Francisco?
Golden Gate Bridge. How about that?
Yeah,
See,
I thought so.
I can transport myself anywhere in the world.
It's wonderful.
It's the wonders of Zoom.
It is.
So why don't I give Charlie Stutters a couple of minutes and we'll start with Scott for the agenda. Would that work for you? Can you wait a minute?
Perfect.
Okay, here we go. Jeannie's coming. Let me get to share my screen share. I got more people coming. Share. Dum. And here's our agenda.
Amy's background.
Okay, here's our agenda for tonight. Our guests tonight are Larry Scirotto, the chief of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Charlie Stutters, Captain District 3, and Scott Peschke, I hope I'm not messing up that name too much, who is the senior project manager from the port for the Port Water Main project. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to ask Scott to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about this latest infrastructure project in Harbordale. You're up, Scott.
Okay. Is the background noise too bad? Because I'm my house, I'm right by the road. You can't, okay, because I can hear the traffic.
I'm good. We're good. We're good, guys.
Okay. I'm here and I have Krishan Kendall and Richard Mancini, the contractor, is also on, so they can answer some of the detailed questions.
Hey, everyone.
I'll try to share my screen, or I don't know if Krishan, if you have it handy.
I have it handy. I could share it for you.
Yeah, can you put up the, we put the little map together just to show you the project boundaries.
So I have to give you screen sharing. Who am I giving it to? Krishan?
Yeah.
Krishan, yeah.
Krishan. Make a co-host. There you go. Make a co-host. There you go. You should have sharing now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you can
There
see.
you go. Yeah. So as you know, this has been a long coming project. We tried it once before and it didn't work. So we regrouped, came up with a new design. And now we have Mancini on board to get the project executed. And it's a 14-inch new water main running directly down, is that 17th Street or Grand Avenue? I'm sorry.
Grand Avenue.
Yeah, and the project's going to be constructed with open cut construction. So we will have an extensive MOT out there, equipment. We're still in the early stages of planning. We still have to get the initial submittal to FDOT for permit. So all of the details aren't worked out yet, but the general gist, this is the general gist of the project. And we, obviously the condominium concerns are gonna, we'll address all those. You'll have access throughout the entire project. You will share our MOT with you. We'll be in contact with you guys every day, communication, because it's a very tight site. And there's a lot of other conflicts in the road as far as other utilities, FPL, AT&T, those types of things. So once we get going, it should go fairly quickly, maybe a month, 6 weeks of total construction. But getting to that point is what's going to take a while, because we got to go through FDOT for permits for right-of-way construction. We have to run the MOT through the city of Fort Lauderdale as well. So if you have any other specific questions, or if, I don't know, Krishan, you want to add some more to that, we can answer any other questions you have.
I have nothing to add, but just basically the gist of everything that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
can I ask you a question, Scott? Have you spoken to the Hilton and to the pilots who also use that street?
Have you reached out to them yet, Rashawn?
Uh,
No, I
Mar-
have not, no, but I mean, we will.
No, Marla, are you mentioning that green area that's under construction, that's saying existing construction?
That's the convention center.
Yeah, no, we have not reached out. You're talking about the Hilton over here, the construction that's
correct.
going on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
to coordinate with them.
Well, because they have a major construction project going on. I mean, I don't know how this is going to affect their major construction project. And the pilots also take access off of Portside Drive. So it's not just the condominiums, it's those two businesses that you
Right.
really need to touch bases with. The convention center does not use that portion of Grand Avenue for their construction. We've worked out a reasonably good relationship with them, and they keep their trucks on their side of the street. They keep their trucks on the south side of the street. Occasionally, they'll have to run a truck through Grand Avenue on the north side because, I don't know, they're blocked or something. So, you know, you might want to touch bases with them. But from
Yeah,
my
definitely.
my perspective, we're going to arrange, when you tell us you're ready, when you're getting close, I want to arrange a meeting with the condominiums that are there that are going to be most affected. Robert, you had your hand raised. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes, two things. One of them, is it going to affect our water supply at the Port condominium? That's question number one. Go ahead and respond, please.
No, all water service will remain intact during construction.
Okay.
There might be a, you know, once we transfer over, there might be a 2 or 3 hour interruption period. But throughout construction, you will maintain services.
Okay. And the second question I have is that the Port condominium is going to have construction on site starting fairly quickly. And we're going to need to tie your operation into the owner's representative, which is DSSD. We'll get you that data, but they'll need access to whoever is the decision maker on at least a weekly basis in order to make sure your construction goes well as our construction goes well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Robert, I just want to point out to you that Krishan was the project manager on the Southeast 10th Avenue sewer project. So he's very familiar with us. We are very familiar with him. And he was very, very good with making sure that there was good open communication. And of course, Scott is coordinating everything from the city's point of view. So Scott, you're our new best friend. And
I hope so.
and we're going to be in constant communication with you. But for everybody else, I think the importance of this is just to know that there's another big infrastructure project going on in Harbordale, and just stay away from the area. You know, just don't go there because it's just going to be a nightmare. Really, it is. And, you know, we do our best to try and not discombobulate everybody as much as possibly we can. But there's gonna be some angst and some stress, and we just have to get through it because we have to get the water main done. So, okay. So does anybody else have any questions for Scott or Krishan, or there's another Mancini? This is not David Mancini. Which Mancini is this?
I'm David's little brother, Richard.
Oh,
Sorry, I wasn't able to introduce
Oh.
myself earlier.
oh, well,
He's the
why
better
don't
looking
you?
Mancini.
He's the better. Why don't you introduce yourself, David?
Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Mancini. I'm, along with my brother, we're both vice presidents of DMSI. Krishan, he's one of our familiar faces. He's working with us on this project. I wanted to chime in and clear something up. Right now, we are currently doing ground penetrating radar, locating utilities in the area. Once we have that set out and we know where everything is and we know our alignment of the pipe, that's when we'll begin our public information campaign, coordinating with everybody. I didn't think that that was explained well enough, that we didn't just drop the ball on not contacting all these different construction sites and condos and the pilots that you were talking about. We don't have an exact location of where we're going yet. Once we do, that's when we'll start coordinating with everybody and when we can do it, how we're going to do it, where's the detours going to be, and all that.
Yeah, Richard, I was out there on the street the other day watching the guys do the markings. And some of those markings are actually not in the street, they're on the private property. And actually, it looks like, there may be trees having to come up, and there certainly, pavers on people's property. The sidewalk may even have to come up. Do you have any idea of what that alignment is, or is that still too early? It's not actually in the street.
From what I understand, we're targeting to go underneath the curb or in the roadway up next to the curb. The markings that you guys will see out there right now would be the existing utilities that are underground. There will be some places that we'll have to remove the sidewalk when we're tying in. I believe the existing water main is under the sidewalk. I don't know if Krishana or Scott could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
So, Scott, you want me to take this?
yeah.
So
Please.
I drove the site yesterday, and those marking that you're seeing is where the existing utilities are. You'll see red, yellow, green, blue. And the good thing is we can at least see that everything is on the north side of the street, whereas it looks as though we may, just don't quote me on this for now until we finalize design, that it might be in the south lane of that street. So we'll try to avoid as much trees and landscaping and curb and sidewalk damages. So we'll just be in the roadway. We're trying to maintain an asphalt only as much as possible. And just like Richard said, that we're going to be, have to remove a piece of sidewalk here and there to make connections to the buildings, the hydrants, fire service connections. So those are small areas where we have to remove a few flags of sidewalk.
Okay, so do you think we're looking at maybe a month, 2 months before you're ready to have a more in-depth meeting with the immediate residents?
I would think I would want to shoot for by the end of this month.
You think by the end of the month?
Yes.
All right,
We've got contractual deadlines that we need to meet.
okay. Robert, you hear that? By the end of this month, that coincides with a major painting project on our property. And again, we'll get you the contact information, and hopefully we can work together, because they're going to be putting, scaffolding on the building and stuff like that. And they're going to be taking, it's a lot of scaffolding. So we'll get together. We'll work this out. Okay. So I really appreciate, Scott, you bringing the team tonight to give us the sort of big picture. And again, in about a month, we'll be talking more specifically. I'll have the people from the port side and from the TGM project, and we'll host a meeting at the port condominium, and we'll invite you
Okay.
and the residents. Okay. So
Okay,
good luck to
sounds
you
good.
guys. Thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate it.
Marilyn, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. I know that Grand Drive, we've been told, is a state road. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. So are you working with the state when you're doing all of this? How does that work? How do you work together?
yes.
Because I had
that-
some questions about that.
Yeah, and that's the one, I don't want to say unknown, but that's going to be the driving factor when we can start work, because we have to submit to FDOT for permits, right-of-way permits, utility permits.
Okay.
And we're expecting 60% drawings next week. They're going to submit for permit. So depending on how long it takes them to give us a permit will depend if we start beginning of March, end of March, but we're still shooting for March to start construction. Whether it's the beginning or the middle or the end, I don't know yet.
So in connection with your getting permitting for that, does that involve all phases of what you're going to do on that street, including the repaving of it and the remarking? Or is that a
Yes.
separate permit? Or is it all one?
It's all one.
The reason I ask is because for many years, we have been trying to get speed bumps on that street, on our street. And we've been told that because it's a state road, it involves all kinds of other issues. But if you're actually going to the state regarding this road and it involves the repaving and remarking, what is the possibility, or can there be a discussion as to whether or not your permitting requests would also include the agreement to have at least some speed bumps potentially put on that street? Because we have a problem with speeding issues. And we've sort of been stymied all this time by claims that it's a state road and therefore we can't do anything. And you're in a position potentially to maybe, as part of a permit request, also put that through, because many residents would like to see some action on that. Is that something that can be discussed potentially?
Yeah, I mean, we can ask the question. I don't know the answer to that right now, but we can definitely look into it and see if we can get the right people involved.
Would you be willing to do that? Because it's fallen
Yeah,
on deaf
sure.
ears from our side.
Yeah.
And it would be wonderful if we could do it as part of this project.
Okay, I mean, well, yeah, we'll look at it. I don't want to make any promises
Yeah,
at this point.
Marilyn, if you want to talk with them about it, further, I know we've discussed it numerous times.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a wonderful idea to at least we'll have a forum to have a discussion with them, because most of the time they won't even take the phone call. But if they're
Right.
at the meeting, we can talk with them about it. I do note though that you can't add things to the scope of this project. Scott, you want to explain how this scope issue works? So
Yeah,
if we were successful in engaging them in that, we'd have to find some other source of funds for the speed humps. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Am I right,
Right, yeah.
Scott?
yes, absolutely. I mean, if we're talking just 1 or 2 speed humps, I don't think that's a big deal, but like I said, let's talk to them and see if we can get any information first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have any questions for these gentlemen? Okay, and if not, again, we thank you guys for coming, and go on home and get back with your families. And we'll
Okay,
move
thanks.
on to our next persons.
All right,
Nice
thank
to
you,
meet you
Marlon.
guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Marlon, and
I have a question.
Oh, wait a minute, we have a question.
It's James.
James, hi, James.
Yes, hi. Just a quick question. If someone is planning a move, they have a contract to move in March, will moving trucks be able to access Grande Drive?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're planning to maintain access to the building at all times.
Okay,
So, I don't, without knowing the specifics, but yeah, we're not going to be shutting any accesses down to any of the buildings.
thank you.
So I don't know if Richard, if you want to expand on that, but.
Scott, you said it pretty well. We'll definitely keep access to all the buildings. Once we get closer, Marilyn, if you want, between you and James, one of you guys reach out to me, and we'll always make sure that we'll get access for a large truck also.
Okay,
know,
good.
We always do have to maintain access for fire trucks, and a moving truck's not much bigger or smaller.
Mhm. Okay,
And
like
if it's
I
a
said,
special,
it's going to be a little stressful, and but just the answer is communication, and keeping the communication open, and we'll get through it. And it has to be done. It's one of those things. It's just like the sewer project on 10th Avenue. It has to get done, and so we're just going to have to make it work. Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions? Last chance for questions. No? All right, guys. Thank you again.
okay,
And
thank
we'll
you.
move on our agenda, and
thank you. Have a great night.
have a great
Have a
night.
great night. Thanks for
All
having us.
Okay,
Marlon, thank you for all the praises on that groundbreaking. Not groundbreaking, but the ribbon
yeah, we
cutting
had a
ceremony.
great party there. That was a great party.
Yes. All right.
Okay,
Hopefully we can have another one.
now,
Yes.
hopefully we'll have another one for this.
We're
Right.
always up for a party.
Yes.
Okay,
Take care.
so
Good night.
Okay,
now
thanks.
I want to bring on our chief of police, our brand new chief of police, Larry Sirotto. We are really honored tonight to have the chief with us. I guess our District 3 captain is having trouble getting onto the site. But Larry, you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Where you see I'm on the move, right? Well, that's where our district, remember this was supposed to be on the backside. I had my meetings reversed.
Right.
This one is on Zoom. The other one's actually live.
Oh,
So he's rare. And I'm now out front of there, but I'm staying on here to make sure I get to talk to you. And then I'm gonna go to that one.
okay.
So
Well,
2 meetings at the same time. We're here though.
a chief's life is never easy.
No, no one feels sorry. I'm okay. No, I'm okay. So hi everybody. I believe I was on this before with you, Marilyn, right? Sometimes I get them a little.
This is the first time we've had an opportunity to meet you. And
Oh, okay.
so if you want to take a minute just to give us a little bit of your background and how you came to come to Fort Lauderdale, and then we'll get on to the vision thing.
Got it. So I guess I see you in a lot of things and blur which ones belong to which at times. Okay. Well, you represent well, Maryland, and you're everywhere. So my name's Larry Sirotto. I came to Fort Lauderdale in August, so it's been 6 months, which has gone pretty quick. I was the assistant chief in Pittsburgh. I spent 23 years there. Retired at the end in 2018, and then took a couple years off to reset the inner clock. And Fort Lauderdale was an opportunity that arose through my recruiter. And when I did the research on the city, on the community, it was just the perfect fit. The department, it just seemed like the right place for me. And here I am. So when I got here, you bring vision and strategy from experiences. And what I found was that we have a very engaged community, and I don't believe that our police department was as equally engaged. And when I say that, not to be disparaging to the organization, right? We have a great police department, but that we had defined community policing to be the responsibility of a select few. We had the neighborhood action team, the community engagement team, and those were really the only people with a true dedication to community police partnerships. And I view community policing as a responsibility of the entire agency, me included. So we have 530 ambassadors for this police department that should be engaged in community police partnerships on a daily basis. And that wasn't happening. We allowed it to be the responsibility of a select few. And those select few were tasked with, but you have 4 neighborhood action team members that were responsible to 15 HOAs. So what they became was very aware of a lot of issues, but weren't able to resolve a bunch of issues, or weren't able to resolve many of those issues. And so when we talk about community police partnerships, we talk about accountability, and when we talk about ownership. And how do you get ownership? Well, you make it the responsibility of our entire organization. And that's the direction that we're going. We're moving in that direction quicker than slower. It's important that our officers are connected with our community. They're available, they're accessible. And in that is this strategy, that is this approach, that community police partnerships are the responsibility of everyone, every member of the FLPD, and more importantly, how connected we are with each of the HOAs, and not just HOAs and organized groups, but other members of our community as well. And in that, we started to identify how we would break up the HOAs within our districts. How will we be accountable? How will we make our officers available and accessible? And we started by separating the HOAs. 15 HOAs in the district, and potting you up together so that we have a collective response to problem solving, quality of life issues. So coming together as a community, and with the recognition that one issue in Harbordale will also be the issues in the neighborhood connecting communities. And how do we address them as a collective so that we are giving due regard and attention to all of those issues. So what we have done over the last 2 months is started separating how those HOAs work together. And Major Schultz has been very active in that regard. And we're about a week away from the release of how you all will be grouped. There is a dedicated email address for the HOA presidents. There's a dedicated phone number that will be monitored and by our sergeant, who will hold our officers accountable to this problem-solving strategy. So my biggest concern was that we would not lose our level of connectivity that the NAT officers provided. And in this instance, that is what we are doing. So by having this dedicated email address, by having this dedicated phone line, by having a dedicated sergeant to your group of 3, having your officers, because I think of it in this regard, is that we have officers on, so in your zone, we have officers that we have 2 officers that work on days, 2 officers that work evenings, 2 officers that work night. That's 6 officers Monday through Sunday that are able to address concerns, able to address ongoing quality of life issues, versus a year ago, you had 1 or 2 officers that worked Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday to address those issues. So we have an entire contingent that is responsive to our community. We have an entire contingent that is responsive for problem solving instead of it being the responsibility of a select few. And that's what community policing in its origin was about a holistic strategy, a fundamental approach to policing and partnering with our community. And so that's what I set forth to do here. I know it is in the norm. So the understanding and the level of patience as this develops is crucial. But the communication, as I've heard Marilyn say many times, right, the communication, that open line of communication with my office, with me directly, with my command team, is important as we move the strategy forward. And I know we will be better a year from now for this initiative. It is one of the foundations in which I came to provide to this organization, and as the mission of the department. The other was officer wellness and ensuring that our officers are taken care of in not only a financial way, but a psychological way, a personal and professional development, and that we have a noted reduction in violent crime. And so those 3 pillars are the foundation on which I exist to this organization, which we exist to our community. And that's how we're moving, and we're moving in that direction in a meaningful way. So that's like the 2, 5, 3 or 4 minute version of where we are, where we're going. And in that, I will stop there just for the pause to see where we're at. Marilyn, this is your meeting, this is your HOA, so I'll let you lead it from there.
Okay, well, I've got a couple. I want to note that Ed Reinholz is on the meeting. He joined us. He's the president of the Lauderdale Harbor Civic Association, and Ray Detman is the president of Ponciana Park. And he's also a member, but he couldn't make it tonight. So could you tell me what three civic associations are going to form these pods? What's our 3? Who are we with?
So we are going to release that tomorrow or Friday. That is in its final stages, and I don't want to misspeak because now I'm not sitting in my office to what Major Schultz has aligned. But I'll provide that to you within the next 2 days, but it'll be by Friday.
Okay.
And then we can communicate who your point of contact is as it relates to the sergeant and the officers that will also be assigned in that pod.
Okay, we were very, very fond of our neighborhood action teams. They came to our meetings, they gave us updates. We were their eyes and ears on the street. We brought a lot of issues to their attention. Will the members of this team also be participating in homeowners association meetings?
As their sole responsibility? No. If they are in that neighborhood, if that is their assignment, so if that is their current assignment, to that group, then yes, they will. Where they can be, we sure will support that and advocate for it. But some instances, some of these officers that were your neighborhood action teams chose different assignments.
No, I don't mean
different
the
districts.
personnel. I don't mean the personnel. I'm assuming that people move around, and although we love them individually, this is not a, it's not a personality thing. This is like, when we have a homeowners civic association meeting, will we be having the ability to have someone join us so that we can tell them
Oh,
face?
yes.
Oh,
Yes, so that's the goal of this. So you're going to have a sergeant that is assigned to your pod. So that comes to the level of accountability, right? And is that I want our organization to be accountable to our community, and more importantly, those issues that you bring to us to focus on. So there will be a sergeant that will be assigned to you, who will be available and present. There will be officers that are responsible for your neighborhood that will be at these community meetings. They'll be all the ones that provide the crime stats. They'll be the ones that are communicating with you all on with some level of frequency to ensure that your issues and those agreed upon goals or those agreed upon quality of life concerns are being addressed, right? And so that's the level of connectivity I speak to, is that you have a dedicated sergeant that works so that sergeant that oversees that is responsible on the afternoon shift. So he or she will start at noon and works till 10, typically when you all are the most active. But there's also a sergeant on daylight that has the same responsibility, and a sergeant on night turn, so that we're not just covering the neighborhood concerns on a specific shift from noon to 10, that we're focused on these same concerns from 8 in the morning till 7 in the morning when that crew goes off, right? And everything in between.
great. Judith, you had a question for the chief?
Yeah. Hi, Larry. Judy Stern.
Hey, Jim.
Um,
Hey, how are
hey.
you?
Big question for you. The uniqueness of our area here on the south side of the river is with having the school board, the hospital district, the courthouse, the jail, the port, the airport, etc. And so we're impacted here in the Harbordale area, not just from the residents, but the homeless, the drugs, the criminal element, and the tourism. I mean, gravely impacted here. 17th Street's a great example. What are you doing? Because it should be around budget time now to start getting prepped for the budget. What are the opportunities for us to get some expansion of additional police officers to work with this area? Because of the growth of tourism coming back. I mean, this department hurts from not getting the proper
Yes.
recognition.
I
And my
agree.
other question to you too is, who in the department do you have the clearance to work with the intensity of security deals over at the port as well? So multiple, but
So
still
we-
tourism in the business.
Right. So let me answer easy one first. The port, because it's BSO, it's policed by the sheriff's office. We don't have much engagement there, and nor do we have much or any responsibility to it because of that. And I'm not saying that we can't engage, but we just don't, because BSO is the law enforcement responsibility
Right,
for
but
the port.
there's interaction between the two, because I worked with one of the former sheriffs on the interaction between the city and
As far as the police interaction, it is very limited. And that may have been prior to my arrival, and it may be the design of the current sheriff. I can explore that. I can just tell you, it hasn't been, no one from the sheriff's office has engaged me with any type of relationship building as it relates to the port. Now, that may just be the way it sits in the moment and could always change, but that's just me being honest with you all, that no one has engaged me in that regard. We've talked about a lot of other things, and the port has never been one of them.
Okay,
So that's that, but in the moment. And not to say that again, we can't revisit it, but that's just where we're at in the 6 months that I've been here. So hopefully there may be an opportunity moving forward. As it relates to personnel, I've advocated for, and I will advocate for, more personnel, especially as we approach this budget cycle. We need the community support in that regard. We haven't grown, this department hasn't expanded in 2 decades. And that's a long time for a city that has grown exponentially over that same period of time. Fort Lauderdale looks really different over the last 2 decades. And the concierge, what I call the concierge policing that our community expects, our community deserves. We can't support all of these initiatives with the current staffing that we have. So we will be asking to increase our staffing. I believe we have the political support from our commission, from our mayor, from our city manager, and it's just a matter of what does that number look like, and then what do we plan on doing with those officers once we get them. Right now, our patrol staffing needs to increase. That's in essence why the neighborhood action team was dissolved. Twofold was, one, we don't have the personnel to support having 10 officers that are isolated to just that responsibility, and 2 is more the holistic goal of it being the responsibility of all of our officers, right? So that's where we're at. I will continue to advocate to grow this department. Where we go, I don't control, but the BAB has influence as it relates to that growth. The commission has influence as it relates to that growth, and ultimately the city manager has the final say of what that looks like for the organizations. But I'll be prepared as we move into the April, May, as we starts having more sincere conversations about that, what that number should look like. And I will tell you, it's not the same that it is today.
And that was always one of Jack Likinski's issues, is you aren't policing just Fort Lauderdale. You have the whole tourism industry.
Right.
And
right.
that really impacts us in this area. So tell us what we can be doing, or what numbers do you need, or what numbers need to be pulled based on the tourism, especially with the expansion of the convention center and one more hotel. So
yeah, and look at the increase in downtown housing in Las Olas. And I lived in Society, and it is at 98% capacity, and that's not an expectation that the city had when they formed the 530-member police department that we have. And that's one building, and there's 10 of them, and there's 3 more that are being built and will be probably completed within another year or so, right? And they don't count to our numbers, but they absolutely count to our demand.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Generally, we have an issue with tourists, We have a lot of the tourists here. And I recall the police department doing special actions in the shopping centers where the tourists were getting their baggage stolen. And we put in a so-called substation in Southport Shopping Center. No, not Southport.
Right.
Harbordale. Yeah.
Harbor Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we going to keep that? Are we going to keep that substation there? Is that your intention?
We are.
Good.
We are, but my intention is that we get more use out of it, and other than it being a lunch stop for the officers as they're patrolling around there, right? That it just becomes something. My thing is, if we're going to support any substation, that we use it, that we get some type of use, and whether it's community engagement, that we use it for something other than a lunch hall, right? And that's the challenge.
Well, what a segue, because we always wanted to work with you, the police department, to have our community meetings there. Nothing would
Right.
get our people more engaged with the local police than every month going and sitting in their home and having our committee meetings there. And then your guys wouldn't even have to go anywhere. They could be right there,
No, I support that, Marilyn.
All right.
I support as much engagement. I'm going to ask you guys here soon. You're going to hear an email once we get all the HOA presidents identified and the pods that I'm going to ask community members to sit on our oral boards for hiring. And so that you're engaged in all of our processes, that this is a true partnership. And that's the direction that I would like this organization and our community to go together.
Oh, this is wonderful news.
So-
Yes,
Diana?
Yeah, on that note, and that's funny, Marilyn, I was just going to ask about that. I went there, we had a meeting, and I said I would go there to your substation, and I found that it was closed because we wanted to see, there was no one there. I went 2 or 3 times. We wanted to see what the facility was like, decide if there was room for that. Was there any way we could check that out?
I'm sorry, we lost. We didn't get that last
Oh,
what you said.
I was hoping, I wanted to ask, the chief, if we could possibly go tour that, like set an appointment with you, because I went several times and there wasn't no one was there, it was closed, just so we could look at the facility to see if this was conducive to have a meeting there for us, because we did discuss this at our last board meeting.
Yeah, so
if we could do
Marilyn,
that, that'd be
if
great.
Marilyn wants to be play point on that, I'll connect you with Captain Stutters, or again, the sergeant that's going to be in charge of your HOA and your group, and we can facilitate what that looks like and get you in to see if it's suitable for what you're actually think you need it for.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. That's just really, that's terrific. And I assume that that's your walkie-talkie that's talking to.
No, that means somebody. No, somebody
else?
Somebody's mic has it open.
Okay,
And
I'm
it's
trying
doing
to
that.
close people. So does anybody have any questions for the chief? This will probably not be the last time we speak with him. As a matter of fact, all these initiatives will require us to be really together and continuing our partnership, but it's a really great opportunity. He's been here for six months now, and I think it was high time that everybody got to see him and have him speak to you and tell you what his hopes and dreams are for the future of working together in Fort Lauderdale. Obviously, our
Absolutely.
biggest problem is, well, I wouldn't say biggest. Let me put it this way: homelessness. All right. We need to work on a way to engage with you and other city agencies to deal with this homeless problem, which only seems to be getting worse and not better. So if you could, I don't know if you may not be prepared at this particular moment to discuss what your sort of vision is going to be on how we're going to deal with homelessness, but put that right up at the top of your list. And we will put that at the top of our list when we get our group together.
It is, and then I tell you just briefly that I'm not sure if you know. I'm sure most of you have met Greg Shavaria from the assistant city manager, and he is very focused on this homelessness issue. How do we address our most vulnerable population that impacts our everyday population, right? And that impact on quality of life, but also providing a service for those that are most vulnerable. And we're working on some ideas, safe spaces, resource allocation, focus. We're going to have co-responders in the policing to have a mental health nexus. And that's something we're developing, and you'll see more of it over the next 6 months. So stay tuned. It is definitely something that we will have to partner with our community, because it's going to require a lot of community support to move this initiative forward. But it is of priority to all of us. Doing nothing is not an option. And I understand how it impacts our neighborhoods, how it impacts our quality of life, but also how we have a responsibility to that vulnerable population as well. And we're working collectively to build a strategy that I think will support that.
Do you work closely with the community court? Is that one of the strategies?
It is, and getting them into community court, right? But yeah, and that's the strategy, and it has been the focus of the city. But we need to do more, and how or where we can take this program so that we're providing the appropriate resources, but we're also responsive to the communities that are disrupted by the behavior of those that are homeless and the mental health issues that come with a lot of that.
Okay.
May I say something?
Certainly.
I'm sorry. I just want to mention something that happened to me today. And I never saw this before. I went to Home Depot today and I picked up 60 bags, combination of compost and topsoil and fertilizer. And I had some of these homeless people coming and grabbing my bags as I was trying to load the truck up. And I said, please stop, please stop. I understand they were trying to be kind, but there's a reason why they're doing that, obviously. And it's very scary. I mean, it was so scary that maybe we need to contact these vendors like Home Depot and Lowe's, and maybe they could have some type of control on stopping these people from coming on their property and just interfering
with the people that are making purchases. I mean, I had to constantly tell them to stop touching my bags and going into my car. I mean, it was crazy, you know?
Right.
I mean, I think
Well,
that they should be the responsibility should be on these, you know, Home Depots and Lowe's or wherever you go, you know, that
Right.
maybe that they should have, you know, a speech from you as well on how to stop them from interfering with the public, with making
Yeah,
their
and you'll hear me talk.
purchases.
You'll hear me talk about this being a responsibility for everyone. It's not a police issue. It's not a community issue. It's an all hands on deck issue, including our business stakeholders. They have just as much impact and they have just as much influence to help us develop solutions as well.
Exactly.
So you'll hear me talk about that to them.
Yeah,
This is not just us, police and neighbors and police and homeowners. This is a police and community of business stakeholders as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Jim,
You're welcome.
You had your hand up. Is it still from the previous question?
No, I just wanted to say, I know that Judge Barnes is one of her goals, and she and I have lunch on Friday. One of those goals is to expand that into the other cities, because until we actually coordinate it better with the other cities, it's always going to be dumped here. So there needs
Right.
to be, as far as the homeless and the and dealing with that issue in the court system. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you want Flo to come to one of your meetings, Marilyn, and talk about the ideas of the expansion of the community court, happy to get her there, but
That would be good. I mean, because
that is one of the goals.
that's a really hopeful story. And, you know, we have so few hopeful stories that I think people
Right.
would be really comforted if they knew that, you know, yes, something is going on. There things are going on. Actions are being taken. And there have been some successes. And if we could, you know, scale up some of those programs, we could have even more success. So we'll keep that in mind, Judith. Thank you very much for the offer. Okay,
Okay.
guys, we got to let the
Well,
chief go into his next meeting. Any other questions?
I just had one, Marilyn. This is
Sure,
Tina
Tina.
DeMarco,
Sure.
and I may have missed it because part of the meeting keeps going in and out on my phone. So I apologize if you've already spoken on this. You don't have to regurgitate your words. What are our crime rates in Harbordale right now as of this year versus 2 years ago?
Our general crime, you say our crime rate is
Our
where
crime
we're
rate.
at today?
Yes,
So we
versus
have
2 years
so
ago.
overall we have decreased in part one crimes by 5%. But what we have seen an increase in is violent crime, and that's gun violence. And often, I would tell you, that doesn't affect your specific neighborhood, but it affects our city. And so we have seen a noted increase in gun violence, homicides, non-fatal shootings, sexual assaults, and those are focused. Those increases have focused in the Northwest District of the city, and the sexual assaults have increased in our business corridor, Las Olas, 2 Street, and that's oftentimes relative to the bars. As it relates to theft, burglary, larceny, those have been on constant declines and continue to do so. So that's where we see. What's that?
I know that gun crime is way up and so is violent crime and sexual crime, but what are the percentages of increase?
The increase right now is 8%. Now it's twofold. It's 8% in sexual assault crimes. However, we have had over 30% decrease in homicide, because 2020 was an anomaly, as it was across the country, where other cities across the country have continued to rise. We have gone back down to what our normal trend would be, our normal average of murders would be. And that's, but the goal now is to push that down. And we have created strategies that will do just that. And in the formation of a violent crime unit that focuses solely on crimes of violence, and building strategies that we are focused on with that same level of intention to sexual assault. So where we've improved in burglary, larceny, and those theft crimes, we need to have that focus and direction on reducing those other violent crimes that continue. So I say part one crime overall should down 5%, but this other crime is up, while our other part one crimes that don't have the violence factor are down. So that's where we're at in the moment.
Also, are you working on the violent crimes in coordination with BSO? And I ask this specifically for a reason that pertains to myself.
We don't have it. Where we are working with BSOs on the real-time crime center, and that partnership is intelligence led, so that we are working once that crime has occurred, that we are increasing our capacity and ability to investigate it. And so that we have now put we will hire 4 and place those 4 in RTCC. That is in conjunction with BSO, and our efforts will be collective on that front.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Okay.
Before we let him go. Okay.
Marilyn,
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I
Vicky.
don't know what happened to the little hand that I was trying
All right.
to use.
Great. You're doing it. That's good. Vicky.
This is not for the chief. This was actually for the woman who raised the issue about what happened to her at Home Depot. Rather than the chief going to them and saying, I had someone in the community tell me this happened, you need to report that. You need to go into Home Depot and tell them about your experience. Speak to a manager and tell them. Share it with them directly. I've been there where there were homeless people out there trying to, direct traffic and have me find a place to park, which, I was perfectly capable of doing on my own. But, they didn't harass me or anything, but it sounds like you had a much more interactive experience, if you will, and you need to share it with Home Depot, not
Yes,
just us.
and I did. I went
Okay.
in after my truck was loaded. I went in and I spoke to the cash register person that was in the Evergreen department, and they directed me on who I need to speak to, and I did. And their answer to me was, well, it's an ever-going process here, and that's not an answer, So I'm thinking that maybe the police need to get involved, and maybe, I don't know, maybe Home Depot or Lowe's or all these different types of places where you go to make your purchases need to have a security guard out there to protect the people that are coming in to make their purchases. I don't know what the answer is, but all I know is that what happened to me today was the first time, and I'm noticing in my neighborhood, I have never seen so many homeless people like I have seen this year. It's incredible, incredible. And I feel terrible. I feel so bad for them. And they do have places to go to, but they choose not to go to. So what are you going to do about this?
Hey, Marilyn, I'm sorry, I have to jump off.
Yes,
I am
Larry,
standing outdoor the other one.
All right.
I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Ma'am, if I could make a suggestion, I would call Home Depot's corporate office. It'll be addressed immediately. There was somebody selling puppies illegally in the parking lot. I called the 800 number, and within an hour it was handled.
No
Oh,
kidding.
Do you have that?
Well,
Do you have that number that you can give me?
I
Yeah,
don't
that
have
would be
it, Andy. I'm sorry. I was driving and I literally just walked in the house.
No.
But just-
Whenever you get a moment, whenever you get a chance.
All you have to do is look up Home Depot's main office. It's in Georgia. It's an 800 number.
Okay, I'll find it. But this reminds me of I come from New York City, and this reminds me of the squeegee guys who used to wash your windows when you stopped at the street light, and whether you wanted them to wash your windows or not, they were washing your windows. And that really requires a police response. I mean,
yes.
it really
I mean,
requires a
those
police
years
presence
ago.
and a police response. Because
Can I just add though, this is, I always bring this in when we talk homeless, that it's really, we as citizens need to be in touch with our state legislators and promote better human services for homeless people in our state. And that means, a lot of things, more advocacy, more counseling, more shelters and all that, but it's really has to start at the state level. So be careful of who you vote for and try to find out whether or not they have any interest in helping the homeless.
The same could be said for the county. The county is should really be a big partner with us in this. And
Well, the county gives more money than the city does on battling homelessness.
yeah,
The dollar amount is huge from the county.
right. But yeah, that's true. But apparently it's not enough because we're not solving the problem. Maybe it's not enough. It's not the right kind of stuff. So these are things that we have to continuously work on. I think the new police chief will be a good ally in this respect, but he is constrained by everything that the other people are constrained with and the past people. I mean, there's First Amendment issues, there's all kinds of political, ramifications for this. And so it's not an easy problem to solve. If it was easy, we'd have solved it by now. So, we just got to keep plugging away at it. And one of the things, what a great segue. Oh, Robert, did you have your hand up? New hand? Oh, Robert.
Yes, I want to jump in for a second. Y'all would not believe how much money has been dumped into the state this year. The money is up like 30%. Now is the time, right like in the next week, to ask our state representatives to spend some money on social programs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was on a call a couple of days ago with a lobbyist from one of my groups up in Tallahassee. And he said, we're awash in money. This year, we're going to get full funding for the Sadowski Housing Fund. We haven't had full funding for that housing fund in years. And this year, we're very likely to get full funding. And I think he quoted something like $355 million on a statewide basis, which doesn't mean we're going to get a lot of that money, but we'll get some of that money. And hopefully, the only thing that will solve homelessness is homes. I mean, everything else is just, counseling. If a person has a home, they're not out on the street, and then you can work with them to get them, into whatever services they may need. But it's very hard to provide that kind of service and support to people if they're walking around on the street. It just doesn't work. So again, this is a good segue into another item on our agenda. The next item I was going to talk to you about is an affordable housing proposal for Andrews Avenue. The city is proposing to give a great deal of incentives to developers to build affordable housing in the Andrews the Andrews Avenue area. That area on Andrews Avenue that's specially zoned. It's called the South Rack area. And already there are some incentives for providing affordable housing, but now they're proposing to double the incentives for developers to build affordable housing. And unfortunately, the incentives are greater density, so you'll see bigger buildings, but in return for those bigger buildings, the developer will have to provide a certain number of units that are affordable. They're not low-income units, they're not even workforce units. They're units that they call the missing middle units. They're like middle-income housing. So something is happening on that front. And I was hoping Ray would be here and we could talk more about it, but we'll have to do that at another time. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up, and this is very important before we lose people on the meeting, we all members of the board, we went to the Education Advisory Board, and we went to the Parks and Recreation Board in support of our proposal to have a joint use program at Harbordale Park. Let me show you something. Let me share my screen. Boom, boom. This is the.
At Harbordale Park or Harbordale Elementary?
Harbordale Elementary. That's good. When I took the photograph out, this is Harbordale Elementary on 10th Avenue at 16th. Okay, there's a lovely little playground there. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not. That playground is not available to the community. That playground is locked. You can see there's a lock, a chain and a lock. And if we get to be part of the joint use program, we get to use that playground in the evenings and on the weekends, and in the summertime when the school is closed. So the joint use park program is a well-established program in the city. And we are one of 14 school community combinations that are vying to be part of the program. We made the first 2 cuts. We got past the Education Advisory Board. We got past the Parks and Recreation Board. And the next stop on our request is going to be actually the City Commission. If we get in, we are scheduled to get about $275,000 for improvements to this little playground, plus a park ranger who will open the gates open the gates when we can use it, like on the weekends, and close the gates at night. This is not a 24-hour park kind of a thing. This is just an opportunity for people in the neighborhood to take their kids to shoot some hoops and play on the play equipment when the school is not in service, in session. Robert, you had a question.
Yes, when I was vice president of Sterling Elementary, which is in Emerald Hills, North Hollywood, we had that joint program. Sterling Elementary is immediately next door to Hollywood Hills High School, and it worked well. The issue is, and you've already addressed it, Marilyn, is that the gates have to be opened and then unlocked in the morning and then locked at night, primarily on the weekends. But it's really nice to have it. I'm glad to see we're moving in that direction. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be right with you, Rhonda. We have experience with this in that the cemetery is also locked and unlocked. And the people who live across from the cemetery tell me this works wonderfully well. The lady comes by, at dusk, she locks all the gates, and then she comes by in the morning and opens them up. So yes, that's a very important feature of this. I want everybody to be aware. This is not, a 24/7 kind of a operation. It's only just to give the neighbors an opportunity to have some recreational opportunities for their kids. And one of the things we promised that we would do to get on the list is, if you'll notice this area here on the swale, can you see my pointer on the swale? Okay.
Yep.
We promised that we would go and we'd plant some trees. Now, we love to plant trees anyway, so we said, okay, well, we'll plant some trees along this swale area here, and using our tremendous money. And actually, we planted the trees further up on the swale using our tremendous program. So we're going to continue planting trees down the length of that school frontage. So we will be working with, if we get in, which I'm pretty sure we will, but if we get in, we'll be working with the PTA, we'll be working with the principal, we'll be working with the immediate neighbors to talk about, what improvements we can do in this park. What do people want? They want more play equipment, they want another basketball court, they want a pickleball court. Whatever we work on eventually will be a collaborative effort. But right now we got to get into the program. I tell these people when we make our presentations, some of the schools and some of the neighborhoods, they want Olympic tracks, and they want tennis courts, and they want artificial turf, and they want pavilions. I said, all I want is the keys. Just give us the keys, so we can open the gate, and we'll worry about what it's going to look like later, which we got to get into the program. So when we get to the commission, I will probably be sending around an email telling everybody to send letters of support to the commission for this. Carol, you had a question? Carol, I got to unmute you. Hold on. Wait. Can you unmute yourself, or do I have to unmute you?
Marilyn, I have a question or something also.
Okay, James, why don't you go so I can find Carol and unmute her?
Okay, thank you. I noticed over at Pier 66 they're doing a lot of construction again, and there are a lot of trees along the service roads that I think they're probably going to be taking out. Perhaps there's an opportunity to, if they wanted to donate some of those trees to the neighborhood.
Okay. We've tried this and we were successful a couple of times. We moved the trees. Cindy, you remember? Is Cindy still with us?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
The
sure.
Gumbo
I'll go,
limbos?
I'll go look at those, James. Thanks for that tip.
Yeah, on the north side along the service road.
I'll go look at them tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We
cool.
may be, it depends how big they are and what type they are, but that's a great tip, and we're always looking for an opportunity to do something like that.
Cool.
And
Carol?
they're trying to build some rapport with the neighborhood, I think.
Let's get
I bet they
offline.
are.
Let's get offline and we'll talk about that. Okay, Carol, you're on.
Have you seen the playground on the west side of the building?
On the west side of what building?
Harbordale Elementary. They have swing sets. Take a look at that area. This place has the basketball courts, no props, and that jungle gym. That's all that area has, which is nice. There's a lot of sand, but also take a look at the little playground on the west side of the school, south of their curving parking lot.
Right.
It's closer to Runaway Bay.
I know what you're talking about, and that will not be available to us.
They has more stuff there.
I know that, but we can't use that because we can't separate. There has to be a separation. So that's too integral to their campus. Whereas this little playground is already fenced off. So we didn't even have to spend the money to fence it off, but we want some more play equipment. There's no reason why we have to live with a 15-year-old jungle gym. We got $275,000. Let's go
Well,
put in, a better playground for our kids, for our local kids. But again, we're going to talk about this once we get in the program, and we have to talk with the PTA and the principal. This is a big collaborative thing. I know Diana has done this before, so we're going to count on Diana to be, sort of our liaison with the various stakeholders once we get in, so that we will have the best little playground in the city of New York, in the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's going to be
22
nice.
years, my God. All right, and I want to hit on a couple of other things before we lose people. Many of you people were at the wonderful celebration we had on Southeast 10th Street. It was wonderful. We had such good vibes going on there. We got good press. The mayor just can't stop talking about it when he sees me, which is it's a good thing. But now Cynthia has got to tell you something absolutely fantastic that has happened to us. Cindy, let me get on to my screen here and I will make a little presentation for everybody so that they can see it. And let's see, where is it here? Okay, I got it. Screen share. Let me do a screen share again. Here it is. Ta-da! Cindy, you're on.
Wait. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay, yes. We had a wonderful event, and at that event, we were awarded 2 awards. One was from the county, and it was a Naturescape Award, and the other was Wildlife
Wildlife Habitat.
Wildlife Federation.
Federation.
And so anyway, those were great, and it's all, but now during that time, we were being judged. It's a judged panel, a judge team for the Southeast 10th Avenue landscape by the county for an Emerald Award. And guess what? I just found out the other day that we got it. It's a big deal. And what the Emerald Award is a program that is an award and a program designed to recognize businesses, government, individuals, or organizations in Broward County demonstrating a commitment to protecting protecting and preserving our environment. And we got a special projects award. It's a pretty cool thing. We're very proud of it. So we now have 3 different awards, all about really sustaining our neighborhood in a really smart way, using mostly native plantings, and just being and planting trees and shrubs that attract pollinators and butterflies and birds, and it's just a great thing. We all should be very proud that we are good stewards in our environment.
And this award will be displayed with a banner similar to this. This was the 2020 Emerald Award winner. We will be the 2021 or 2022 Emerald Award winner, and it will have our logo and the logo of the city of Fort Lauderdale. And we'll be able to put this on we hope, on the fence of the cemetery. So people walking by will see it, and maybe we'll get some members out of it. I don't know. We'll put harbordale.org. Maybe we'll get some members. It'll be great. But,
well, we always hope for that. And again, we do a lot in Harbordale, but one of our big issues is our sustainability and our greening our neighborhood as much as we can. I also just want to include that if anybody wanted to see the presentation that we had a couple weeks ago, it's on our Harbordale website, and you can click on it. You can see photos, and you can see the actual video. It's short of the speakers and the mayor, and it was really quite wonderful. We're very proud of that recognition, and we're hoping that other communities see what we did and will follow suit. The city was very impressed as well. So thanks to everybody that was involved. We had an awful lot of involvement and a lot of collaboration. And that was really, to me, the most wonderful part of the whole thing, was the collaborative effort by so many.
thank
Very
you.
nice.
Yes, somebody wanted to say something?
No, I just said very nice.
Oh.
That's wonderful. Congratulations to all of you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I also want to put up 2 things that are happening in the city. One is Neighbor Support Night. I don't know if anybody has ever gone to Neighborhood Support Night. We haven't had one since 2019. This is the first time we're having them again. And it's, let's see, I got to get this out of my way.
Well, I'll say I've gone to every one since the first one, and I think they're just great. They're early enough in the day. They start at 5. They're protected under the parking garage at the city hall. There's tons of free food, ice cream, music, entertainment, and every department in the city is there. So you can pick up a lot of information, a lot of little freebie things. There's going to be a plant giveaway, actually, a tree giveaway as well. We always did that, and I was not sure whether they were going to do that again, but they are this year. So I really encourage everybody to go.
Right, and it's February 10, starts at 5:30. There's ample parking. I don't think you have to worry about that. And it starts at 5:30, goes to 8 o'clock at night. And it's a good time had by all. And the second thing I wanted to bring up was Ed from Lauderdale Harbors let me know that they are sponsoring a 17th Street Cars and Cafe event on February 20th. It's going to be at the Press and Grind. Do you guys know where that is? That's in the shopping center just before, as on your way into Harbor Shops, that little shopping center off to the side. There's a new Press and Grind store there. And that's where they're gonna have a local 17th Street Cars and Coffee show. They're gonna have a whole bunch of antique cars. And if you are interested, I'm gonna put all this information on our webpage, so you can click on their Facebook page and get in touch with Ed. Ed, are you still with us? Did you want to say something? Ed, is he still with us? Ed. Ask Ed to unmute. He may be trying to unmute, but I have him on mute, so let me get back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can. There you go. Ed?
We just put it out 2 days ago, and we already have 6 cars gonna line up. We're gonna look for more, but we got a couple of weeks to do that, or less than 2 weeks. And I will have my 1952 Chevy 5-window pickup truck in the show. It's my baby.
I have guys who have some antique cars in my building. I'm gonna make sure that they get that information as well. See if we can get you some cars too.
And Marilyn, I want to thank you for inviting me tonight. And just want to be publicly thanking you. And we'll have a meeting. Our annual meeting is the 9th, and I'll invite you to that too.
Oh, good. That's wonderful. We have to keep in touch. We have to stick together, Ed. If we don't stick together, they'll eat us. They'll eat us alive. So, you know, there's strength in numbers here, darling. So we got to stick together.
Marilyn,
Yes,
the gentleman who owns the Fort Lauderdale Antique Car Museum parks next to me. If you can get me a print of the show, I'll put it on his windshield wiper.
I will do that. Absolutely. I'm going to put it on Steve's car too. Okay. So Ed, I think we're going to get you some cars.
Good.
All right. Okay, and one last thing I want to share with everybody, and I got to do a share screen again. I can't believe I got to go back and forth on this. Every month I get a report from the transportation section. Why isn't this coming up? I get a report from Transportation and Mobility, which gives me a status report on transportation projects in our neighborhood. I want to point out a couple of very specific items. Pending requests, speed hump studies. You're gonna love this, Diana. And if Bettina was on it, she'd love it too. Broward County Traffic Engineering has resumed accepting requests for speed hump studies. And however, there are currently road closures in our area, and they don't think that this is a good time for us to ask for these studies because there's not a lot of traffic. So they want to wait a few months before they ask for, before they request our studies, because this is very important. We only get one shot at this every 18 months. If they do the study and we don't get enough cars going fast, we can't do it again for another 18 months. I don't know about you all, but I don't see any traffic on 17th Street. I mean, it just struck me very hard when I was going out today for lunch. There was no traffic on 17th Street. I mean, it's a nice day. We're in the middle of the season and there was no traffic. So I don't know what that bespeaks for economic development and such, but it's certainly not a right time to go and ask for a speed or a traffic a study, because it's just not gonna, the numbers are not gonna support our positions. But I want you to know that we're on their radar and that this is in the works, and this is not like something that is never gonna happen. This will happen, okay? The next one.
I would,
yes.
oops,
Diana.
sorry.
No, Tina, Diana, somebody who wanted to speak.
No, it's Tina. The only thing I will say is there's a lot of traffic on Miami Road. I can't even back out of my driveway half the time.
Really?
And I want to say that it's on 15th Street too. So they're bypassing 17th Street and going all these
They're
different
cutting
ways.
through the neighborhood.
Right, that's what they're doing, so.
You
And
know,
emptying out into 17th Street when they have to, absolutely.
Right.
okay, so let's talk about this offline. Let's look at the situation and see if we want to throw the dice and go for a study now.
What I don't want to have happen is to do a study in August.
Oh, no, we certainly will not make that mistake. We certainly will not make that mistake. Okay, so that's that one. And the next request is to have the pavement markings at Cordova Road and 15th, have pavement markings at Cordova Road from 15th to 17th Street. You know, the strip that we were gonna have the Cordova Road project on is just, it's just a street. And we've requested that we redo the lines on that portion of the street to make it a little less you know, a little less vacant over there. And they're investigating whether there's money in their budget to put the lines and the stop signs on Cordova Road from 17th Street back to 15th Street, where we're having our new raised intersection. And that's the
Well,
next-
I'll tell you,
Yeah,
hooray, hooray for that. Hooray for that.
yeah, we're working on that. Okay. So what else? We got a couple of other things here. The department received a request from Public Works to put the stop bars and speed table markings refurbished at our current raised intersections. You know, at our current raised intersections, some of the paint is already coming off. So we have a request in to refurbish those so that, you know, they get back to their pristine condition. So that's on the list, okay? And there was another thing on the list, I think down here. Here we go. Cordova Road and Southeast 15th Street intersection improvements. Now in December, Shelby Rodriguez came to us and showed us the most up-to-date plans for the raised intersection. Well, they've actually finished doing the construction drawings, and they are going to start working on it rather soon. Again, this is just an update to let you know that the project is on track and moving forward. And the other project that's on track and moving forward is the wrapping of the signal boxes on Southeast 17th Street. Okay, the city's vendor has a license to use the Guy Harvey artwork, and transportation staff had a kickoff meeting with him in mid-January. Staff will regroup with the Harbordale Civic Association as soon as possible to review artwork options and discuss next steps. So that project is moving along very nicely.
Wow, that's
Got a lot of
really-
projects moving along very nicely, and that's always good news.
That's
to
good
see that
news.
Things are moving along. So that's all
Is
I
there-
had for tonight. Really,
Is
that's
there,
all.
is there any way that I can interject for just 1 second? This is
Certainly.
Rhonda.
Oh, yeah.
I know I have talked about this years back, but on the corner of 15th Street and 15th Street, and I guess that is, it's where the school is. So those 3 corners, it's 4 corner. And you have the big emblem in the middle of there. So 3 corners have been perfectly done. But the one that abuts Cliff Lake Villas, where in front of the dumpster, that one has been neglected. And I've been wanting to have that taken care of to make the 4 corners look perfectly, because children and their parents cross that area to bring them to school, and we have big ruts there, and it collects garbage and water. And it would just be nice that at that corner where the dumpster is could be capped off like the other 3 corners to make it perfect and make it uniform. I would just so much, if that could be looked at, you know, and I know that might be for another time, but I just want to throw that out there. That's all I want to say.
No, that's a good point. And since we're on the list to get those raised intersections refurbished, let's ask them for that too.
That would be wonderful.
We'll ask. We can always ask. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:30. That's usually enough for a community meeting, unless somebody has something extra or an addition they want to put on the table to bring to our attention. I think we can call this meeting done.
Marilyn,
Yes, Ed.
that piece that you just showed, that document,
Yeah,
could you send it to me?
sure. I'll send it off to you. No
'Cause
problem.
I have a meeting in a few days too, and I'll relay some of that to my staff, my organization. But I'd also like to see, that's right for Harbordale. Wonder if they have one for Lauderdale Harbors.
Well, you know what? I'll send you the staff person who provides them for me, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have one for you as well.
Okay, good.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody.
One more thing.
I don't think we need a motion to end the meeting. I just think we need to say goodnight to everybody, wave goodbye.
Good
And
night.
good night. Keep in
Good
touch,
night.
everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
everyone.